Okay, welcome once again to the Baron 58 X-Plane 12. Welcome aboard. We're all ready to go. We've completed our briefings. Weather's been checked. Let's taxi on out. Engines are running. Cowl flaps are open. All right, we've got our clearance. We're on ground control, comm number 1. Parking brake off. As mentioned, this will be a quick flight. This is part 5 of a 5-part series. The most challenging airports as reported by airline pilots. Obviously they're in somewhat bigger aircraft, so what might be challenging to them hasn't been really all that challenging to the Baron, but still we can get a sense of what's going on up there for them. We're taxiing to runway 33. We can do a lot of our checks here. Airplane engines seem to be warmed up pretty good. We'll do our cliff checks and do a quick briefing on the departure plate. This is going to be, this is part 5A. Part A stands for, we're just going to do the obstruction clearance chart. I'll brief you on that once we get up here. We'll do our run up real quick and do our cliff checks. Take one more look at the departure chart. Check our frequencies. I have all the frequencies installed already to save time. There's a nice view of the mountain up there. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look that up. Once again, this is Aspen-Pitken, Colorado. And during our briefing, you noticed all of the little rules and regulations to be able to fly in and out of this airport, which I found quite interesting. I thought maybe I had flown out of this airport many years ago. Windsock is checked. We will Let's do our run up now. Departure. Maybe I'll put my parking brakes on and stuff like that. Okay. I'm just going to exercise the props. Getting a lot of good power with the cooler temperatures up here. We did our magneto checks, everything is good. Okay, compass. 195, or about 19er looks good. Circuit breakers are all in and checked left and right. There's no clutter on the floor. Cowl flaps are open. Communications. We're going to switch over to comm number 2 since we're done with ground control, and we have tower there. If we wanted to take a look at the ATIS real quick one more time, I'll just throw that in the active and put the listening part on for comm 1.
Aspen-Pitken County Field information, Charlie, 1945 Zulu. Arriving runway 15.
I think they say 15, but we're going to use runway 33.
Wind, light, and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions broken at 3,400. Temperature niner. Dew point -2. Altimeter 2991. Advise on initial contact. You have information, Charlie.
Okay. So we do have tower, and we do have departure there. Communications.
Aspen-Pitken County Field.
Oop,
Information
get that out of
Charlie.
there.
19.
Goodbye. And communicate our transponder. And weather radar can go on. Compass, lights, instruments, cow flaps. And cliff check L will be lights on. Windows and doors are latched. Seat belts are latched. Instruments will check. Airspeed check. Turn coordinator check. Check. Altimeter check. Vertical speed indicator check. I've got 196 in there. Remember that. We'll come back to it. I have 109.2 for the nav number 2. I have 108.5 in the frequency box. We are on localizer mode, not GPS mode. Current heading for the takeoff is on 3-3. I'll change my heading mode once I get on the runway. And the DME is set to nav number 2. We might be able to identify. Good check. Nav number 2. If we can receive it, we are. Okay, nothing to identify on the ADFs, so I'm not going to mess with the frequency box there at all. Compass, lights, instruments, communications, looking good. Cliff, let's go ahead, 10 degrees flaps, or flaps 1. And fuel looks good. I want to take a look at two things here real quick. Here's our departure. SARDD 3 departure. Aspen-Pitken County. SARDD field. I mean, how many names for a place? Okay, ATIS, we got clearance. We already got our clearance. Our clearance is going to be to LINDZ here. A obstacle departure. So you see the word obstacle. Do have 109.2 in there. That's the snow VOR. We did confirm that 196 is in our OBS for nav number 2, which will help us identify this intersection. The 244 off a red table, I tried that VOR. I kept having a nav flag, so that I'm just going to elect to use 196. We do have 108.5 in for our localizer. We are going to use runway 33. Some things that we need to note here is that, here's interesting, Papa Kilo November, that's this right here, the localizer. Back course outbound is normal sensing. Oh, that's nice of them to do that. Probably because it's very important for us impotent pilots. We have to rely on this back course, so we want everything going for us because this is an obstacle clearance type thing. The other important thing is runway 33, takeoff minimums, 401 mile visibility. Yeah, 460 per nautical mile to 14,000 feet. Well, we need to double check something on that. I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to bring up a rate of climb chart. Since we have to be at 460 feet per nautical miles, let's look for that on the chart, and we found it out here. There it is. Our ground speed for climb out is going to be approximately 100 to start with, and then I'll eventually go to 120. So I'm going to look at 90, and let's see what we get. So we have to find that 460. Here's 480. Here's 425. Generally, I would interpolate that and look at the in-between numbers here, but I'm going to go with the highest number. So my minimum, 4.5 nose-up attitude with a feet per nautical mile of 480. I'm going to be looking at approximately 715 feet per minute on my vertical speed indicator. That's the minimum. But I generally climb out at about 8 degrees nose up. So let's take a look at that in the beginning. We should be getting at that 855 feet per nautical mile. Converting that to vertical speed, feet per minute, should give us approximately 1,280. Now I know the numbers I have here in between interpolated will give me a little bit more at 90 and a little bit less at 120. Once we get to about 120, which is listed here, we should see probably about 16 to 1700 feet per minute which means we do meet the minimum obstruction clearance climb out. So we do have a mountain out here. This is what this obstruction is. Now I have to maintain this climb to 9,100 feet. At that point, I will do a left turn to 273. Also, there's some trees and stuff like that to note. One thing when we take off again, let's remember, after departure, we're doing a little bit of a right turn to 343 degrees. That's a heading, not a course, not a radial, not a bearing. 343 on the heading indicator, and fly that, and we will intercept this localizer outbound, which is normal sensing. Continue our climb. Now we have to keep that climb rate going to 14, flight level 140. Doesn't have anything to do with this altitude right here. This is just our altitude, 9,100 feet in there, and then we'll continue to climb. We have to hold this to at least minimum 14. This is 16,000 feet. I'm going to use 15,000 feet, 150, because for some reason lately, the X-plane in this area, once I go above about 15,400 feet, my screens start to go black. I don't know what that's all about. I'm looking into that. So we're just going to go up to 15,000 feet. Other than that, we are all set for takeoff. Probably be minimum talking here, so just have your chart out. You can follow along, and I would, give it a try. That's what this channel's all about. Bringing some of these standard departures or challenging airports that bring you in and give you a little bit of practice. And I'm generally doing it on the instruments, hand flying it. I'm not coupled to the GPS. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. So, okay, enough of me. Let's go ahead and get this airplane rolling down. Let's complete our gumps checks. Gas, I'm gonna put my fuel pumps on. Undercarriage handle is down. Flaps are set to 1. Mixtures are set for the altitude. I just kind of leaned them out a little bit, being that we're at about 8,000 feet. I could go probably a little bit more to get best power. Our prop controls are forward, our landing lights, our takeoff lights, everything is on. And let's make sure we're on tower. Requested our takeoff. Transponder is on, we're ready to go. Parking brake off. Okay, I'm going to do my best to fly this as precise as possible. There will be no landing. Part B will be coming in on the ILS back to the same airport from that holding pattern. Check left, no traffic. A little bit of a crosswind. All right, such a departure like this, I like to take my time, make sure everything's set. Again, we do have some clouds up there. I could put IFR in here, but I thought about doing that occasionally, but it's no fun to me, really, for you all to sit there and watch an airplane on instruments flying in the clouds. So I have this set to VFR so that we can actually see the mountainous terrain, to see what we need to be clearing and to see why. And you'll see that with this mountain range right there in front of us, and these turns kind of bring us out this way, and then we got our holding pattern up here. A heading bug. We are ready for takeoff. Basically, airspeed is alive. We've got a long runway. There's our minimum controllable airspeed right there, red line. Single engine. Here's blue line. If we lose an engine before MCA, we're going to go ahead and pull the throttles back. If just after MCA, we'll probably pull the throttles back. If we rotate, we'll continue straight forward to see if we have enough runway to left that we might be able to land on it, or stay straight ahead. We have blue line. If we lose an engine after blue line, mixtures forward, props forward, throttles forward, flaps up, gear up, identify, verify, feather. We're going to be too busy to flying the airplane. Aviate, navigate, communicate to try to get the engine restarted. So we're going to get into a zero side slip. We're going to maintain blue line, no less, accept the rate of climb that we get. We may not even have a rate of climb. We might have what they call drift down. At that single engine blue line speed doesn't always guarantee that the airplane can climb on single engine, but we may have what we call a drift down. So we'll still maintain our control of the airplane while giving up some altitude, minimizing our banking. Any turns that we make, I generally recommend that you try to turn into the good engine. Stay away from the bad engine, dead foot, dead engine. All right, dead foot, dead engine. Yeah, that's how it goes. Okay. Other than that, we'll do our flow checks, our memory items. Once we have a time, let ATC know what our intentions are, and at that point, we'll pull out our checklist and double check all of our
Okay,
memory
almost ready
items.
to take off, and it just occurred to me, I like to double check things, and I'm thinking this red table VOR wasn't coming in for me, so I said I was going to use the snow VOR as the intersection. This is 113.0 and 244. And when I look at my answers, I have 133.3 in there. Let's change that to 113.0. Let's put that into use. Something just happened here. We have that. Let me do this. Nav number 2. There you go. See, it's always good to double check things when you have a moment. If something occurs in your thinking, and there it is. I had a 30 in there, and that radial was 244. So now I'm going to scooch that over to 244, and that's going to be our intersection. 245, and okay, we hear you. Now, also I'll have the DME, which I think we said was 13 DME off of that VOR, which is somewhere up in here, red table. All the better. Okay, we're ready for takeoff. Glide slope flag, yep, because we're on a localizer. Localizer, no flags. VOR, no flags. Everything is set. One last check since we changed things up here. So we got to make sure everything is on. Flaps are open. Camera's down. Okay, we're ready. Like I said, this is just going to be a departure. Climbing out on the localizer, getting over to LINDZ, doing the holding pattern, and that will be completion of this video. So let's go ahead and roll into takeoff.
I'm going to keep full power. Flaps are coming up. Looking at blue line. Let's do that right turn now to 343. Looking to get that climb gradient that we worked out on our rate of climb chart. Looking for 9,100 before we make that left turn to 273. I'm going to move my heading bug over there for my quick reminder. 9,000 for 100. Climb gradient is pretty much right where we would set it be. It was about 1,500. Okay, left turn now to 273. Get a little bit of extra view up here. Just for a moment. Standard rate, there's 273, a little right rudder. And one thing we forgot to do is just put our heading back to 303. That's where it should have been. Just for the localizer. That's the intercept heading. And keep in mind, even though we are hand flying and we are not on GPS, we do have this for reference. I like to kind of come into paragraph number 2. Puts things sort of up on the center for us. Alright, now that we're settled in, let's do our climb checks. Landing lights are off. Takeoff lights are off. Gear is up. Flaps are up. Power, full throttle. Bring my props back to 25. Put my prop sinks on. Yaw dampers on. Fly the heading at 273. Continue our climb. We're going to go up to 14,500 feet only because I'm having an issue with my flight simulator. For some reason, above 15,000, it wants to start to go into a dark state. I'm going to have to check that out at another airport. Yeah, let's get air. Just blue line, maybe 5 knots above. Gives us some good visibility, some good cooling for the engines. Climb check has been completed. We departed runway 33. We're now on an intercept heading to the localizer. We're at 12,000 feet. Step by step. Now that's done, let's concentrate on the next area. We'll be intercepting the localizer. Climb is still happening. We're supposed to keep a certain climb gradient up to 14,000 feet per the chart. I think we can undo some views here. Localizer is alive. 12,500. Turn, yes. Outbound to 303. And remember, the localizer has normal sensing. It's nice of them to do that for us. Now we get handed over to approach, or actually departure. I'll put that in there, make sure I'm on comm number 2. There's the localizer, and now we're in the clouds. So we are IMC at 13,000. I may change the altitude. I just don't want to get into that darkness. Like I say, I can always use my GPS here for reference. We are outbound to LINDZ. Totally on the instruments now, folks. Hand flying. You know, the more you do this, the easier it gets. As your eyes start moving, you start interpreting the instruments a lot quicker. And with that, you can fix things a lot quicker. Got my pitch attitude of 8 degrees, my primary transition instrument. Primary for pitch because I'm trying to maintain that in there. Actually, it could go back and forth because I'm looking at a little bit of a blue line climb coming up out of the clouds now. Now that I'm outbound on the localizer, next thing I'm looking for is the 244 radial from red table VOR at 113.3. Now that I got my act together, I can watch this and make sure it comes in. I do have a little Navmap going. Here's the airport. As you can see, this little gray line is the line. This is a course back to the airport. I didn't take that out of the plan, but here's where we did our departure. There was that heading coming out, and we intercepted the localizer, went through it a little bit there. And now we're on our way to LINDZ. And that outbound heading, 244, we're going to be looking at about a 275 entry right here, and then a left turn back into 064. That's going to be off the red table VOR. This is going to be a holding pattern, so once we get there, we'll do the 5Ts. There's 14.5. We're going to use 14.5. Vertical speed indicator, 0 rate of climb. Plane's going to speed up. It'll want to climb again. We're back in IMC conditions. Localizer. CDI's coming in. Try to maintain 14.5. I want to fly this as precise as I can. I'm going to note what the distance is there. 14.5. Localizer's getting funky. There it is. So let's do a left turn now. This is the teardrop entry. You can probably see that on the GPS right there. Turn, yes. Time, yes. I just started the time. Twist, yes. I'm going to twist in 064 here. Okay, kind of in the cruise section, just bring power out a little bit, bring the props down a little bit. Trying to maintain 4,500. Going outbound on this teardrop entry for 1 minute. And now a left turn to 064, back in the weather again, IMC. Speed indicators kind of give me an indication there's a climb, a little forward pressure. Airspeed's changing, so my trim will end up changing. We're right at the top of this cloud base. Turn, yes. Time, Once we go wings level, we could do that. Turn time twist, 064 for that inbound leg of the holding pattern. 14,500, standard rate turn. I'll be watching this. We know our inbound course is going to be 064. I'm working my ass off here. Okay. Let's get back up to 14,500 feet. I'm just less than standard rate. I see the CDI coming in now. I'm going to go right to standard rate. Let's see if we can meet this CDI right in the middle. And we notice we have a nav flag. .064 CDI is right in the center. Let's fly that inbound turn. Yes, 064 time. Let's start our time. Let's let, I guess, departure know that we're in the holding pattern. Turn time, twist, throttle, talk. We're going to leave everything there. Maybe lean our mixtures out a bit for this altitude. Checks. Yep, lights are off, gears in, flaps are up. Fuel pumps can go off one at a time. And here we are. So that's it, folks. I'm on the inbound leg of the LINDZ holding pattern. CDI for the localizers coming back in. Turn, time, twist, throttle, talk. Course is a little bit to my right. I'm going to take out some of that heading. To the right. Just hold that since I'm very close. I'm watching this. Again, I have my reference here if I need it. Let's come in a little closer to this sucker. It's showing we're almost at LINDZ, that we are there. Okay. Of course, the CDI is not going to be as sensitive as this, so it won't always display perfectly. Wings are level. CDI is coming in pretty good. Should have been about 13 DME, so let's do that left turn now. I'm just going to do one holding pattern here, and then we'll complete the video right when we get to LINDZ again. So standard rate coming back around. I have a tendency to pull back a little bit when I turn, so I'm letting the nose fall through to get back to 1,405. 1,405, yep. My words aren't working today. Good back pressure, get that vertical speed indicator center. Coming back in. We can also use the DME, which is 13 DME. As you can see, that didn't really come into this. It was still coming in, but it shows we're outside of the holding pattern on the GPS. So outbound course was 244. Not much to see up here. Show you clouds above, clouds below. Heading below to 244. Turn time, twist, throttle, talk. At this point, I'm going to watch my DME. As soon as I get to 13, I'll start my timer. And we'll just do this thing all over again in a holding pattern. And I'll watch that needle to make sure I'm not getting blown back into the inbound course. Not really sure exactly what the winds are doing. This would be a good time to play music. 12.2, getting up to 13 DME. Now, normally at this point, next thing I might be doing is setting up for my ILS inbound. And that's going to be for part B in the video. This was just about the STRAD 3 departure obstacle clearance chart. We checked our rate of climb. Here's past 13 DME, so we'll go out 1.5 miles, and then I'll make that left turn back in. That'll be about, based on the airspeed, yeah, that would be close to a minute or so out, or a distance out. Sometimes too, once I have my inbound leg established at 1 minute when I would do holding pattern, and if I had DME, I'd take note on what the DME was, so I knew exactly how far to go out. Cheating? I don't think so. 113.0, we did identify it. We'll say 13, 14, yeah, that's good enough. So let's do the left turn now, back inbound. Kind of boring drilling holes in the sky, but this may not be as exciting as the previous video, but this is a handful to fly. So now we're turning left turn inbound. We let departure or approach, whichever one we were on, know that we are established in holding. And they might ask us, what are we going to do next? Well, we'd like to do the ILS inbound, but that's for the next video. So we're on the inbound course, almost completed. Let's see if we can intercept that inbound course properly before 13 DME. It's looking pretty good. I'm kind of executing this somewhat half standard rate, incorporating it into the rate of movement. If I see that rate, if I see that CDI stop moving, I'm going to kind of take the turn out, go wings level, allow for more of an intercept heading. It's still to the right of us. As you see, I have a little bit right. We have 2 miles to go to LINDZ. There's an updraft. Localizer came back with live. CDI is coming in slowly. We'll probably have a bit of a wind up here out of the south. Half a mile to go. CDI's coming in pretty good. Check our GPS here. And there it is. We should be crossing that center right about now. Of course, our outbound heading would be 064 with a little bit of a correction. So we would do our 5Ts, turn, yes. Left turn. Watch our altitude. Time, yep, I'll time when the wings are level. Pause the simulator, and I want to thank you once again for flying with FlightQuest 40. I hope you enjoyed it. Check out the STRAD departure. It's out of Aspen-Pitken, Colorado. It's quite a challenging departure because you have multiple instruments you can use. You have your localizer. Check the chart out. You have a climb gradient you have to keep. You have some VORs that you can utilize for your intersections. And don't make the mistake that I made with 113.30. That's why I wasn't getting anything, and I said, oh, I'll just use 109.2. But when I had issues with this, it's when I switched over to 113.0, bingo. Well, once again, thanks for flying with FlightQuest. We'll see you here pretty soon.